Trey, do you think there's really some kind of spiritual energies in music, and in your music in particular?
In some ways, I hope that there are not, because usually when there are spiritual energies in music, they're not the right ones.
Yeah.
So I know that there have been a lot of sort of diabolical stuff has passed through me. So in a way, the first thing to do is to try to empty that, which I can't really say that I have succeeded in doing. So if I stood here and said, well, now I'm trying to bring good energies, I would be a liar, because it's not for me to decide, really. So really what I'm trying to do now is focus on the bonds that are formed when we play live.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's really, when I look back and I see Shehzad and he has a certain smile, this is the purest moment I can come to when we play live shows. When it's recording, it's another story, because I control all of the stuff.
You come to Orthodox faith after many years of deep studies of Muslim esotericism, and Secret Shift still uses esoteric symbols. So what is the real weight of your own spirituality in music, in your music?
Yeah, at this point, I mean, it's great to talk about this a little bit,
Yeah.
because I usually don't, and maybe this is the only place where I should at all.
Of course.
I actually keep most of the content of that very personal in the music, just because from working with the different symbolism that we've worked with and the ideas that we've worked with, you get a lot of people listening and concentrating on those things, which is wonderful on the one hand, and sometimes not so wonderful. Sometimes can feel a little bit irresponsible, because everybody brings their own ideas to their listening. So I only, I withhold up to a certain point what my own, what the music is doing and reflecting for me. I will withhold that information because it is actually intensely personal. But I can say for sure that like you mentioned Muslim esotericism, I feel like this was, I spent an extended period, maybe 12 years, which I can now look at as tilling the earth, broken, parched, dry earth that nothing could happen on, basically a heart that's just cold. This intellectual study of Islamic esotericism kind of broke through that surface, and it made me able to conceive of theology, in particular, ultimately theology. It started as counter-rationalism and this kind of thing, and then when I would read the Fathers 12 years ago, I would see something completely different than what I see now. Okay. It's a convoluted answer, but it's really the truth. Yeah, it enabled me to see with both parts, the intuitive and the intellectual simultaneous. This was extremely important for me.
So, music has no part at all in your conversion to orthodoxy?
A bit, actually. Well, of course, this is another very long story. Actually, just about a year prior to my conversion was when I had met somebody who goes by the name of Anonymous 13, or who went by that name. She's now a monastic in Romania. She's from Romania originally. She's a great musician. She was playing music with us, and she was my girlfriend. And it was a very fruitful time. She lived at my house for about 3 years. And really, it was her when she started to go back to Orthodoxy was while she was at my place. Mm-hmm. And basically she was going through some healing. It was the first time I think she'd had a break from a very difficult decade, and her heart naturally inclined to her spiritual home. And as And she was interested in all of the same things at the same depth that I am, like all of the esoteric subjects. And it was actually her, watching her, you're a diva, you can't exactly, you know, and she isn't, but it's not like the nuns are gonna, you know how it is.
Okay.
So they take a little time to adjust mutually. A new monastic who's going to start teaching everybody Byzantine music, or old monastics who are going to teach somebody how to get over there. It's what ails them. It's a good relationship. That was my introduction to music in the Orthodox world, besides just the liturgy and the singing and and so harmonic, just hearing the true sense of harmony that takes place in a liturgical cycle, of course, is, you know, every time I'm there.
So finally, orthodoxy has been a cure from something very dry and intellectual to something more of the heart.
I would say for me it's a completely different category. I see music, I see it as the depth and the center of music, the depth and the center of what harmony and harmonics means, what I was searching for the whole time with it. The Orthodox music embodies it. It embodies it in ideal. It's not always in execution, but it knows what it's looking for, and it knows by heart where that place is. So I just let go completely and try to receive it. I feel like I'm very, very passive in the Orthodox context. I wouldn't dare, assert any idea in that context. I'm much more like, going at it like this. At first, I think I do the thing that most people do. You're trying to judge a protest movement by its merits. If somebody was articulate, they got up there and said something, and it was right, and you agreed with it, and then you go along with it. What I like about the protest movement that's taking place is that at this point it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't. If people are going to the street and saying, "We just don't accept this. This is unacceptable." To me, this is enough, and I'm glad actually to see it, because it is people from different walks of life. It's not specific to a left or a right, not so much. And this sentiment maybe I would like to see that grow. On the other hand, I'm not a believer in the idea of revolution at all. I don't believe that society is progressing, and that it ever really did progress unless it went away from. To me, if there's something fixed, and we don't know what it is, we don't know how to define it, but we know that it's eternal, that there's something eternal, and we attempt to root our human society into that, that to me is somewhat stable ground, or at least can be. It's like having a compass, and you know where north is. In the absence of that, I think, when nobody even in one society can agree on what that north is, there will be chaos, period. So if then there's a revolution, but there's still no north, essentially you get more chaos. So this concerns me a little bit. I want to believe that humans, just out of a sense of human spirit or something, can come up with this compass point. But I'm not so certain that they can do that by themselves. I know that I can't. So I don't know why I should trust everybody who's screaming to be able to do it. However, it needs to be done, and the Wall Street needs to fall. The essence of it, I agree with on almost every point, and I'm actually in support of the idea of just saying, enough of this, brutality being done to the human race. It's insulting, in addition to being harmful and destructive. It's very insulting to be treated the way the rich and the poor thing is going right now. Is completely intolerable.
Unidiver, thank you.
Of course.